Anyway, after about 7 o'clock in the evening, he came alone. We brought me a carton banana. And he asked me to go for dates with him. I said, no, we're not allowed. I said, I can't go in. I can go with you. I said, we're not allowed. If I take somebody with me. He said, okay, we take your family. So we all went to the Bahar. We started walking around. He came back. Well, 2-3 days later, my mother called me. He said, this man interested for you. He wanted to go to America. He's interested in you. What we're going to do? You want to go to America? I said, well, why not?
Oh, fall, 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 fall. خيلت كاس الردى ومشيئة الرحمن في يوم نجهل متى أو كيف يأتينا. هبيت انضم وستر للخلق تصدان عن جيلنا الحاضر وأمجاد ماضينا.
My grandfather, he was already married when he came here, and he had one son. It's my father, Muhammad Nasif Abil Muna,
who was born when the Titanic sank. There's rumor, or we say, that he was reincarnated from one of the children on the Titanic that my mother's grandfather, my great-grandfather, tried to save this boy, and he couldn't save him. And when he died, that's when my grandfather was born. But he always remembered that he was reincarnated from the boy.
My father born in 1892. It's a funny story. One time he went for bird hunting, and some political peoples, or at that time, some influenced people, they are passing by and they try to take the bird from him. And when he interferes with them, he decides that he has to leave because they give him only 48 hours to leave their territory, otherwise he'll be on big trouble.
I remember on my way here, I make lots of mistakes in driving. I used to drive in Lebanon, not in the United States. And every time I make mistake, my sister jump over me, hey, where are you going? Where are you going? I never did so. Okay, I am sorry. My mistake. And what is better than all, I was safe. We got here safe, no accident.
I remember one time somebody come in and asked him, how long you been in the United States? He's my neighbor in Lebanon. He said, I just been here 22 years. I said, 22 years? And you not been here too long? I thought in myself, God, I'm going to stay in the United States. 22 years? No way.
And when we got to America, the disappointment, they took us to Chinatown. It was stinking. Oh, I said, this is America?
Amin David, he's my uncle. Amin David. Whom I really loved and admired, like my father. And the same thing goes to this lady next to me, that took me in her house for the first 6 or 8 months after I came to this country in 1956. And I was very fortunate to be one of the members of that family.
We got married on 49, and I came to this country at 49. 1950 we were here. And I was only 19, and it took me a long time to adjust. The language was very hard for me to learn.
We were raised with the Lebanese tradition. We were Druze. We were always reminded that we were Druze and that we were allowed to do limited things because we were just, they wanted to keep our heritage intact and for us to know who we were as we grew up.
The Druze here in this country, there were very few of them, there were maybe 100 of them. They loved this country, they chose this country, and they loved it.
I mean, the American spirit of being community and conscious of your community needs and responding and contributing to the community is totally consistent with the way I grew up and with my heritage.
My father and Dr. David Slim and Nasib Slim, they came here before 1890.
Say 1912 or something.
And then he went back. My grandfather established himself very well here, financially and socially.
While serving in the Connecticut General Assembly, my father had a unique ability to get to know several people at all levels of government. And in fact, I still remember at his memorial service, the number of people and dignitaries who attended, not for any other reason than but to pay their respects to a person who was very involved in the political process.
Serve the whole community. This is what this country is built on, and we have to protect it. And I always said, although I came to this country, I was 34 years old, but I said I will defend this country because it's protecting me. This is what makes it loved by everyone.
My parents loved the United States of America. However, they wanted us to only socialize with the Lebanese people.
And sometimes the nearest Druze neighbor was over 100 miles away, so it was difficult to participate in any type of cultural activities.
So we stuck with our own community because this is what we did there. Every Sunday you got together with the Lebanese.
Weekends especially were very exciting because people would get together, the families would come together, and they would dance and they would sing. It's the singing that I remember more than anything else. And then of course we'd have a big feast. And that was almost every Sunday. You could look forward to it.
Mom and Dad loved this song. And Mom and Dad.
This year we're celebrating the centennial of the Bakura. If the Bakura members were in front of you now, what would you tell them?
First I'll cry. And I just thank him for what they did for us. Thank him for starting something that's so solid. I mean, building a solid foundation to be able to survive 100 years.
Of course, all the Druze contributed, so we can bring everybody together. They know their heritage and their culture, where they came from.
I knew that about the people who came first in the turn of the last century, and they decided to bring to form an organization. They called it Al-Bakura Derzi.
They meet in our house, I tell you, for the Bakura. They meet every week in our house to discuss it about the Bakura. They raise money, they work hard to make it. They make it a community for the Druze.
That's why the Bakura got together, was mainly to help other Druze if they needed it. And the social aspects of it, where they could mingle with each other.
The purpose of the Bakura was really a reflection of the desire of every Druze family. And the paradigm of every Druze family was that you got to marry a Druze.
I went back to Lebanon. I got married to a Lebanese Druze guy.
I went back to Lebanon and I met my wife Lena, and we got married in Lebanon. It was a nice wedding. but also it was a war.
When the war was over, these guys are, you know, at the age of marriage, they have to get married. You see ships just come into Lebanon with the first generation. They go to Lebanon, they get married.
Like most of the Druze, he stayed here until he was able to go back and get a wife and find a nice young lady to get married.
But some people not able to do that, you know, a lot of people not able to. And it's hard to, you know, to leave their business and go over there, but I managed to do that.
Were they from the same village?
Same town.
Same town.
He went there to get married.
Okay.
And my grandfather said, we'll give you this girl, you can have her, but you cannot take her out of the country. So he fooled my grandfather, said, we're just going to Alay to spend the honeymoon. And they were on their way out of the country.
I don't believe anybody other than the Druze became more acclimated with the locals than we did.
My children are very proud to be Lebanese, and although we live in Colorado where there is not very much Lebanese society, it is important that they assimilate into this society.
At that point in time, there seemed to be a change because we had begun to assimilate into the regular population, so to speak. We weren't marrying so much within the Druze community, and myself having married outside the Druze community. That was the beginning of when the intensity for the ADS started to break down.
Early on, when the American Druze Society was developed back in the late 40s, I remember that we were small at the time, and father and mother planned to attend the convention, early convention up in Detroit.
We would go every year that we possibly could, and we would take our children. However, as they became older and went into college, they started getting tied up, and then it ended up that me and Ally going alone.
Now I know my mother has pushed every year for me to go. And I would always say, yeah, I'll probably go, and I haven't gone. Now I see it in a different light, and it's not an older generation versus a younger generation. It's just accepting of people in this social situation and taking the time to respect your heritage.
It was family time in Charleston, or family time in Richmond, or Washington. It was a good get-together. It was a fun visit. It was time away from our American lives, and it was time to visit the other culture that I was blessed to have, my Arabic culture, my Druze culture. And that's something that I've always told my friends, you know, I have the benefit of two cultures. If you do, you should embrace both of them.
My dad was probably the one who knew more about it than anybody, but unfortunately, I don't remember sitting down and having any serious talks with my dad about the Druze religion. And yeah, I feel like I've left an empty spot about at least my father's background and religion.
You know, I felt that I've always had this sense of emptiness and not belonging. And I wanted to give to the community and to participate in something that's a good cause.
The American Druze Society, it went up and down and up and down, and I saw many of our people coming in and leaving out.
We kind of, I wouldn't say neglected, but we did not concentrate on our main mission, our main issue, which is keeping our heritage in the United States and keeping our children from getting out, or giving them something to entice them to remain within the Druze community. There was a kind of, I think, I wouldn't say a complete neglect, but not enough concentration on their needs. And that caused some dwindling of the attendance at some conventions.
The people of today, the young people of today, weren't raised in that environment to where they think more positive about the Lebanese and the Jews. People and the ADS.
When I was younger and kind of like in my youth, I remember and I recall the ADS Tri-State chapter in this area just being a truly vibrant chapter. You felt that there was an elevation to the American Druze that were here. And what I started to see here is that the quality of everything around the ADS Tri-State chapter really started to, I don't want to say deteriorate.
We haven't had it for years, probably 10, 15 years since we've met as an ADS group.
There's a lot of younger generation that their opinions and things have changed.
We have two choices. Either we can turn a blind eye and just go on living and go on being busy and go on being active in our lives, or we can take the time, take the effort, take the extra step and say, let's bring it back to its glory days. Let's bring it back to something that we can be proud of, that we know is representative of the true Druze community.
Well, my kids have never been to a convention, so really that's probably the place to start.
The values that we have in our heritage are something it's hardly comparable to anything, any other group. I mean, the warm feeling that we have with each other and how we treat each other.
And I believe that we should preserve this extended family because it's a wonderful extended family. And that I believe that building bridges with other faiths that look at life similarly will only enrich us.
It's just a tremendous heritage, and it's something that I hope we can never lose, and we want to build on further.
If we don't transfer this knowledge, if we don't connect with our kids spiritually, if the society will not work on this subject better, the society will be a society that is doing a job of 10% versus the 90%. Because when you connect people spiritually, you'll be a better society, a better community, and I guarantee you a better future.
I mean, we're here because of their vision. We're here because they wanted the Druze to always stay connected, be always grounded to their roots, to their religion, to their faith, and grow integrated with the American society, but always knowing that they are Druze and they have something special in them that bonds them together.
I've been involved with the CORA committee, which is the Committee on Religious Affairs in the ADS, for the past 2 years. And when I started till now, we've made astonishing changes.
I didn't get a computer until about 3 years ago, but I do a lot of research, and you'd be surprised how much information that you can get on the Druze religion from the computer.
If the ADS can continue on its journey as it did in the past 100 years, for the next 100 years, we'll be making great strides.
It's something that we need to be proud of, and we need to know that we do have that special flame and that candle, the tip of that candle that we need to take and keep in our heart and never lose that, never forget that you know, you have something special.
خيلت كاس الردى ومشيئة الرحمن في يوم نجهل متى أو كيف يأتينا هبيت انضم وستر للخلق قصدان عن جيلنا الحاضر وأمجاد ماضينا حتى إذا ما بكينا الأهل والخلان والذكر بعد الممات يعود يحيينا وذكر الجدود الغزاة ينبه الأذهان من كل علة تاريخ اليوم ينبين